smiling, ready to go down in Charleston. Jen, are you joining us from Charleston proper right now?
Yes, sir. I am in Charleston.
Fantastic. Charleston Gamecock Club president for how long, Jen?
I think we're coming up on 8 years. Time is
Whoa,
kind of blurry the last few years, but
that is impressive. Can you tell us what is your favorite part about being the Charleston Gamecock Club president? Let's start there.
my favorite part, I think just creating big events that get Gamecocks together, celebrating the same thing. Everybody getting together, celebrating something that I love so much, the Gamecocks, just warms my heart. I've had some fun opportunities over the years to meet different players and coaches, which is always fun. But I really like creating an environment where everybody's cheering for the same thing, and it's something that I love.
Nice. And how did you come to love the Gamecocks? I always like to
Um,
get the backstories for fans of whoever they're fans of. Like for me, my dad went to the University of South Carolina, so I grew up getting the junior Gamecock Club stuff, and he gets handed that to me, and that's just the way it was in my house. And my 2-year-old's already. That's one of the things he says these days is the Go Gamecocks because that's what's in our house. What about you?
Perfect. Raise them right. Yeah, I have no cool backstory like that. I actually grew up in Northern Virginia, and college sports weren't huge up there. And when I was in high school, I decided I wanted to be a marine biologist, and no schools in Virginia offered marine biology for undergrads. So they had a program worked out with the University of South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, and a couple other random schools that if you went there, studied marine biology, you could pay in state tuition. So my dad was fully on board with that and went and visited South Carolina, fell in love with the big school, the city, sports, stuff like that. And I think there's something in the water on campus, but as soon as I was there, that was it. And I've been hooked ever since and dragged my husband into it and here for life.
Did you get through the marine biology program?
I did. I was actually a marine biologist for almost 20 years. I lost my
Oh,
job during COVID and had to pivot a little bit, but I had the pleasure of working at a couple different aquariums with lots of fun animals and living out the marine biology dream.
oh, that's awesome. I'm so pathetic. The only thing I can think of is like George Costanza and
Yeah,
Kramer, and then talking about it, Seinfeld, marine biologist, and the
I
whole
get that a
thing.
lot. I actually saw a couple memes about that yesterday.
Sorry about that.
That's
So,
okay.
so now you guys are preparing for your big event, August 12th. Is that when it's
Yes.
going down?
Yes, August 12th, it's going down. We have been kind of become known for this event, and people have been bothering me the last few years. Why haven't we been doing it? And we are back. I'm going to call it our annual football season kickoff party again. It's out at the beautiful Cotton Dock at Boone Hall Plantation, one of the most beautiful venues in town, right on the water. It is an all inclusive ticket. It's open bar, catered by one of my favorite places in town, Home Team Barbecue. They're bringing out all the good stuff for the party. We'll have a DJ. We've got a couple guest speakers coming. We've got Chance Miller, the deputy athletic director, Ray Tanner's number two. He's going to come down, and then also Justin King, the man behind all the awesome videos that we're obsessed with that you see on social media and in the stadiums. I know I'm really excited to speak to him and just hear about all the stuff, especially with the Gamecocks Plus announcement yesterday. I'm super interested to hear from him. We also do a live and silent auction. We've got some sweet stuff this year. We've got tickets to all the football games to give away, or not give away, sorry, auction off. We've got a Loge suite for the Georgia game, which is 4 tickets in one of the cool new boxes that they have. Passes to be on the field for 2001 at the Tennessee game, some local artwork, all kinds of good stuff. It's really just a big party, excuse to get excited and ready for football season.
And you mentioned that you've done this before, but have you ever felt it kind of build up like it's built up here in the last few weeks? I know Shane Beamer has talked about the enthusiasm and the energy. From where I sit, I've been telling people this football season. I can't remember the last time I've looked forward to a football season quite like this one. You getting that same kind of vibe?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely an excitement this year that we haven't seen in a few years. I mean, people are always excited. We always have hope, right? But this year, I think it's just a different level, and it's at an all time high for sure. It's actually super fun to see.
That should help the party environment, I'm guessing, big time.
Yep.
She's Jen Krizan, Charleston Gamecock Club president. If you guys are interested in finding out more information about the event, interested in being a sponsor of the event, just hit her up at the email address at the bottom of the screen there, charlestongamecockclub@gmail.com. Jen, I'm interested in more of your takes on the Gamecocks, if
Okay.
you don't mind. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with the quarterback situation and Spencer Rattler. How do you feel? What are you thinking about Spencer Rattler specifically?
I think that I can't feel anything but excited. I historically am very hard on quarterbacks. Uh, I I don't know. I guess I expect a lot from them, and this is the first time in my Gamecock life, and I'm getting up there, but that I've ever been excited and like I can't wait to see him step on the field. I came to the spring game and I was excited about that. Like the spring game is a glorified practice, but I was so excited just to see him on the field. Like a prospect like that is not something that we've ever seen, at least not in my time as a Gamecock. And just people are talking about us. I get texts from people that I haven't talked to in years. They're like, "Oh, Spencer Rattler. Oh, Gigi Jackson." I'm like, the Gamecocks are on the rise as a whole, and it's just so exciting.
Spencer Rattler and Russell Wilson exchanging tweets yesterday. How
I
about
saw
that?
that. Russell Wilson is always my quarterback for fantasy football, so that was
Okay.
awesome.
So who's that? Is Connor Shaw, I assume, at the top of your list then from the Gamecock quarterback standpoint? Who you
I
got?
mean, I definitely appreciate everything he did
Well,
for
that sounds like
Carolina, but I
no.
mean, he didn't have that hype that I feel like Spencer Rattler has, and that is just a cool thing to be involved with. I feel like all the other SEC programs have these hype players, and we never really have them.
I think that's fair, especially at the quarterback position. And the stat is Todd Ellis is still the last guy to get drafted, and that was 1989, I think, from a Gamecock quarterback standpoint. I think Spencer Rattler is going to he's likely to break that mold, but there's still a lot of football to be played, and it's a massive question mark in the whole thing. What else besides Spencer Rattler might be kind of at the top of your list right now of what you're excited about for Gamecock football?
I'm excited to see all the people that transferred in, like Rucker and Stogner. I'm excited to see those guys fit in and how they fit in and hopefully help immediately. I think our wide receivers last year were a little bit lackluster compared to years past. I'm excited to see if they've made some improvements, especially with someone like Spencer Rattler throwing to them as opposed to, we never really knew who we were going to be throwing out there at quarterback last year. I'm excited to see our defense, see if they can build off of the great season they had last year. And I'm excited to see the new lights in Williams-Brice.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, the LED presentation, game number one with Sean Elliott coming in with Georgia
Yep.
State, the 7:30 game. I think it's going to be a tremendous environment. I think there's everything you hit on there. I talked about a couple of those things yesterday. So I'm interested in what do you have a number in mind? It's always a numbers game from expectation standpoint. 7-6 last year after 2-8. Do you have a number that you feel like this team has to hit for you to feel good about it?
I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but I want more than 7-6.
Okay, I think that's very fair. What my point was, I think it was yesterday. I was yapping about reasonable expectations. How Gamecock fans, I think, 7 wins in the regular season, which would be better than last year's 6, is probably right where a lot of people are. Maybe even 6, but more reasonable to expect from Carolina is offensive improvement. Last year's offense wasn't very good. You mentioned the wide receivers. You mentioned the quarterback position now. I think if Gamecock fans, if you see that, I think you're going to feel pretty good about the program moving forward, even if the wins don't necessarily increase how you want them to. Because, Jen, if you've been watching Gamecock football longer than half a minute, you know how difficult it is to win a bunch of games and how you can have a better team sometimes from one year to the next, and it just doesn't reflect in the record. Is that fair?
Oh, definitely. I mean, look at our schedule. It's the SEC is we just beat up on each other every year, and we start off right off the bat at Arkansas. That's a huge test, and then we get Georgia at home, which I mean, if we're being honest, I'm pretty optimistic about that. They lost a lot of players. I know they're Georgia, and they're just going to reload, but maybe signature win.
Oh,
Start it early.
that would be a massive signature win for sure.
You
And
never know.
yeah, and the fact that you get it early in the season, it's a noon game in September at Williams-Brice. Maybe that helps even things out. Who knows? But I hear what you're saying on that one. The transfer stuff is really interesting because the immediate impact they can have. And you mentioned Corey Rucker, he's on the Bolitnikoff Award watch list. You got a guy like Juice Wells from James Madison out of wide
Mhm.
receiver, adding depth where Carolina certainly needed it. And now those guys have to go perform and they have to do it immediately. So there's a bunch of pressure there,
Right.
but also the opportunity to help change the trajectory of that offense is massive for sure. What do you hear most down in Charleston? I guess about is it about Shane Beamer these days? Just
Yeah.
that kind of breath of fresh air and energy that he's added to the program off of the Will Muschamp era.
Definitely. I think we had the pleasure of having Coach Beamer down here back in June, and just the feedback from people is that it's just you can tell the minute he walks in the room that it's different. It's he wants to be there, he's excited to be there, and that transfers to fans, to players, former players, my dad in Northern Virginia, like everybody. It just you can just feel it. It's so different. I mean, not a knock on Will Muschamp. He was very nice as well, but just you could feel a different sense when Beamer's around, and it translates. And I'm still getting messages from people like, "Thank you so much. That was so great to meet him. I can't wait to see us play." And it's just he's transferring that excitement that he has to everybody, and it's definitely palpable down here.
Yeah, and John, my last guest was even talking about how players actually really love Will Muschamp. I mean, guys
Mhm.
quit when he got fired, so it was clear that he had some loyalty and he had something as well. But what you just said, I got to think about this more about how to put it into words. Right? It's a feeling that you get when you're around someone without them saying anything,
Right.
and you seem to have felt it, and you've gotten the feedback that other people feel it as well. I don't know
Definitely.
what that is exactly, but maybe it's just an energy or it's that body language thing that you get where as opposed to it being an obligation to go down
Mhm.
to the Charleston Gamecock Club, it is
Yes.
something that Shane Beamer really looked forward to and is actually kind of in his DNA being born down there and
Right.
his dad's background with the Citadel and the whole thing, right?
Yeah, you can definitely tell. And it, like you said, Will Muschamp was wonderful, and people loved him, and the players loved him. But the energy in the room when Beamer's in the room is just completely different. He wants it. He wants to be there. He Jen, thank you so much for having me. And I'm like, no, thank you for coming to see me. Are you kidding? So it's just that kind of energy and that kind of vibe. And everybody in Charleston that I talk to, and once they find out, oh, you're involved with the Gamecock Club, so Shane Beamer, and it's just an exciting time for sure.
Yeah, and Pix hits us up with how about charisma? I feel like
Yeah,
charisma is a thing that comes with the words, though, maybe even more so than just the upbeat enthusiasm, the energy that you can present even without talking. But maybe that's factored in there for sure. That's certainly one of those words. Jen, anything else that we need to know about what the Charleston Gamecock Club is all about? I was reading yesterday and see if you got this as well. If you're a member of the Charleston Gamecock Club, it sounds like you're going to be in the Gamecocks Plus. You're going to be
hmm
subscribed. You're going to have that thing just automatically. Whereas if you're not in a Gamecock Club, you're going to have to pay $100 a year. Does that sound right to you?
Yep, correct. If you're a Gamecock Club member, you're getting access to that as part of your membership, and that's awesome. I got an email this morning actually about it. I guess that we're going to get a daily email too with the Gamecock Brew. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I got my buddy Dakota Watson is actually going to be
Mhm.
in charge of this new thing. He's going to be on with us tomorrow to give us a few more details there. I just want to make sure we're on the same page on that one. We were reading it the same way.
Yep.
Um, Charleston Gamecock Club, August 12th is the date. Kickoff event, an annual kickoff event now. And that's also what goes into this too, right? The first time you've been able to do this just because of all the COVID stuff,
Yeah. The last three, I think the last time we did it was 2019.
right?
And it just wasn't a safe environment and stuff was shut down, whatever. But I feel like this year we're back and we're better than ever. It's a little bit harder than ever to get the event off the ground. Things have changed a lot since 2019, but we're getting there, and I'm excited. We have about 100 tickets left. So, Eventbrite, if you need a ticket. I do want to say that the money that we raise at these events, it doesn't just like sit around idly. It doesn't go to me, unfortunately, but it does all go back to fund the scholarships for the student athletes. And once those are funded, the money is used for whatever else they need, whether that's a physical therapy, nutrition, help building a new weight room, whatever that is. That's what this money is for. It does have a purpose. Last year we had a really cool opportunity. We had, I don't know if you remember, we hosted the NCAA tournament for the women, the first and
Mhm.
second round. Charleston Gamecock Club purchased tickets to make sure that students could go, because students had to purchase tickets for those games. And so that we could maintain that environment, we went ahead and funded that. We bought all the tickets for the first and second round for the students so that we could make sure the women had the environment that they were accustomed to. So these events are a big party. They're a lot of fun, but they are a fundraiser at the end of the day. And it goes right back to the student athletes. And that's really the most important thing.
And again, if you're interested in buying a ticket, you're interested in sponsoring the event, just hit Jen up. The email is charlestongamecockclub@gmail.com. And you can go to their Facebook page as well. You just search Charleston Gamecock Club. It'll pop right up. You'll see all the information there, the sweet pictures of past events that you've had out there. I think Cocky shows up and the whole thing. And you guys will get after it. Jen, I got to make sure you have a plan in place for people who will be enjoying this party maybe a little bit too much at this point now that it's happening for the first time in 3 years, right? You got that all set, ready to go?
We've got a couple things. We do have some security for the
Okay,
event.
good. Need that.
It is open bar. We do have a
Watch out.
golf cart that'll take you back to your car or to your Uber if you need an Uber.
There you go. Get that Uber going.
We have 2 golf carts that'll be running, taking people back and forth to their Ubers or cars. And I know I have a hotel room in Mount Pleasant for the night. So
Smart.
stay safe.
Smart move there. You might want to get the security to also be the Gamecock, the golf club, the golf cart drivers there at the same time, or part of that whole deal.
I'll
Good
see what
stuff.
I can do. That's not a bad plan.
Anything else that I have not mentioned that you'd like to get out there to everybody? Again, August 12th is the date for the kickoff party, Facebook group, and the email address, charlestongamecockclub@gmail.com.
Yeah, no, that's it. Thank you so much for letting me come on and talk about the event and Charleston Gamecock Club. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jen, you're welcome anytime. Great takes, probably way too sophisticated for me to address in a lot of ways. Good luck with the event, and let us know if you ever want to pop back in. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.